Hey YouTube land, Tycondrius there, doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at another one of the G.I. Joe Ultimates figures from Super 7, and this is another of the Wave 2 figures, and it is the Warrant Officer Flint. So, as with all the others, you get this mailer box packaging with the G.I. Joe logo and the character name on the front. Obviously on the back you just get like legalese stuff, contain, choking hazard, all that kind of stuff. And then for the figure within, or the box within the box, you are treated to another one of those. For the G.I. Joes, it's green. I'm not sure if they're going to change the color up for any of the other factions if they get around to doing other stuff, say like Cobra La. I know that's a kind of a stickler point for G.I. Joe fans. Some liked it, some didn't. If they do a Cobra La, will they do a different style box compared to the Cobra and the G.I. Joe logo box, which is, the Cobra one is literally the same thing except with blue, the kind of Cobra blue camo and the Cobra's logo. I'm just trying to think of any other factions that there was in the show, but this one you have the Warrant Officer and Flint dog tag. And then obviously you're treated to the figure within with the slipcase. You can see on the side of the box as well, it does say GIW2, which is G.I. Joe Wave 2, FLN Flint 01. So it is 01 of Flint. It could indicate that they might be doing other versions of him. They might even do a Tiger Force version, which would indicate him being a 02 maybe. Or it's just an indication of which number he is in the line. Do I have Lady J's box? Ladies J box actually said 01 as well, so it could be an indication that there might be other versions or variations done. As far as I remember, Flint only really had two variations in the original line. His Tiger Force color scheme, which is pretty much the same uniform he wore as in this version except with Tiger Force pattern, and then the other one was he had a complete makeover and redo as part of the Eco Warriors force. I can't remember off the top of my head if there was another version of him. There could even have been a Battle Corps version of Flint. I just don't remember there being one. But I'm just going to adjust my camera slightly so I can bring the box in a bit better. So on the box, on the back of the box, you have a write-up for Flint. You have images from the cartoon of Flint in that kind of green uniform. Traditionally, the action figure, the original action figure of Flint, was in a black uniform with the kind of camo pants. But for the animation in the, it's not the DK animation, but the Real American Hero animated cartoon, he had a all green uniform. So the write-up for Flint is actually is quite a bit. So his Flint, Warrant Officer, file name Fayborn Daniel Orr. So Daniel Dashel. Oh, I thought it was Daniel Dashel Orr. Primary military specialty infantry, secondary military specialty helicopter pilot. He does have a serial number, which I'm not going to read out because it's fairly a long number. Birthplace Wichita, Kansas, and he is a grade E6. I'm not familiar with the military gradings, but I'm assuming that is relating to his warrant officer status. So Flint was a Rhodes Scholar and earned his degree in English Lit. Bored by the groves of academia, he enlisted in the army and applied his tenacity and concentration he had used so well scholastically to grind his way through the airborne school, Ranger School, Special Forces School, and finally Flight Warrant Officer School, graduating each with top honors and a thorough tactical planner. Flint drafted and personally led a half-dozen rescue missions in hostile territories that, for obvious reasons of security, were never publicized, let alone admitted to. And then there's a kind of quote thing underneath. We've had thought Cobra had us in the stinking dungeon for good, so we didn't know what was going down when we heard that chopper coming in and all the heavy hardware going off like the 4th of July. Then someone kicked down the door and to our cell, and when the smoke cleared, there was Flint with that lopsided grin saying, "Come on boys, we're going home." So you have a brief write-up for Flint. Flint was always one of my kind of favorite characters because he was one of the first kind of G.I. Joe figures I had for the Joe line. Again, I'm not sure if they changed his location, his birthplace location for the Action Force version, but the Action Force version of Flint was identical to the G.I. Joe release. The only difference was the file cards were swapped around a bit. But I remember having Flint. He was the leader of my G.I. Joe team for years because I never actually owned Duke. So Flint was the go-to ipso facto leader of my Joes. So we'll start off with his accessories. He does have a good accessory count, just like with Lady J. Not so many very small accessories. He does have a few small accessories which are possibly prone to be lost, but it is something to be worth noting. So we'll start with his head sculpts. He comes with this default head sculpt, which is kind of his more stour, stern look. He comes with a slightly smirking look for his alternate head, which is quite cool. And the difference between these two is he actually has a removable beret. So if you don't want the kind of standard just beret head, which he did have his beret off in a lot of scenes in the cartoon, you would see him often without the beret. You can do that with kind of slight, kind of, I wouldn't say evil smile, but kind of slightly smirk to his face. And then just like with all the rest of the figures, he does come one with a headset, or a comms headset one with a more open mouth. He doesn't have this sort of the Yojo yell head like Duke has, but he does have a slightly open mouth head sculpt as well. Again, just attached by a ball peg. So you have that. For standard across the board accessories, he does come with the same laser rifle that both Duke and Lady J came with. For his more personal, unique weaponry, he comes with a shotgun, which is iconic to the character, is what his original action figure came with, a kind of shotgun. He has a laser pistol, which is done in a very bright, polished, metallic color silver, which is quite nice. Something that he would often use in the cartoon. He used to have, he very rarely saw him with the shotgun. It was more the two iconic laser rifle and laser pistol combination you'd see him have. He does come with a backpack that is very similar to his original action figure backpack. It's a canteen, has grenades, there's actually dynamite on it. This is the exact same backpack that came with this Destro repaint. He comes with the same one, just in black, and they've swapped out some of the paint applications for it. So it is the same backpack, and it attaches the same way. You just open the loops, or you don't open the loops, you just kind of push them to the side, slide them up over the arm, and then adjust it accordingly. He does come with a flashlight, a small military style flash torch or flashlight, which is quite nice. He comes with a pair of silver binoculars, which are quite nicely painted. I would have liked if they had done a kind of a more bluish tint onto the front of the binoculars, just so you could kind of see the more lens look to them. He comes with a very small version of a walkie-talkie. In fact, it is, from what I can see, it is the exact same sculpt that came with, I think this one came with Duke or Cobra Commander. I'm not sure who had this, but it even has the same frequency put on it. But you can see the scale, it's actually smaller than the original one, so I'm assuming they dropped the scale a bit on it. It does lose some of the detailing as well on the smaller scale. On the back, you can see where the kind of battery pack part was, where you'd put in the batteries. But unfortunately, it is a smaller scale. It does fit. He does, see how this hand kind of holds it. He has kind of a grippy hand. It does hold it. He does have better grip hands. He does have a shovel for some reason. I'm not sure. It's more than likely is character specific. In fact, I think did I use the shovel hand? Yeah. There's kind of a dedicated shovel hand for this guy, which is this one, which I've actually kind of outstretched a bit by having the torch in it. But he has a hand that's kind of supposed to be holding the shovel. I'll just need to stretch that back into place, or leave it kind of go back to its natural positioning. But there is a hand for the shovel, and the torch. He does come with one last accessory, which is this Cobra Commander to deliver State of the Empire address tonight newspaper article. I can't remember which episode it's in. I think it's obviously it's from a specific episode, but I think it is the one where they kind of change dimensions. It could be that one. I'm not 100% sure, but it is a quite nicely done accessory. You can see Cobra Commander on it's a nicely done print of Cobra Commander, and then obviously you can just read the headlines, but the actual byline or the actual articles you can't read, and you can even flip it over and there's more printing on the back of it. They could have easily just left the front like that and then left nothing else in it, and it's even done in such a way that it looks like multiple pages of a newspaper, which is very nicely done. It's an interesting accessory to say the least, but it is something that's there, so I suppose it is what it is. Now, he does come with his two default punching fist hands, so he has left and right punching fists. He actually does have left and right trigger finger hands. He has the more underslung grip hands, so he has like this one's a bit widened out from holding different accessories at the moment. The hands are like a pliable material, so if you have something in them with a wider grip, I had him holding this kind of M16 and it has a wider muzzle area, so he does have that outstretched a small bit. And just like Duke, he does come with the pointy finger hand. So as I said, he does have this accessory hand which is supposed to be for holding the shovel. Unfortunately, it's managed to stretch itself out. Originally I think it was only about that wide, so if I can try and get it back to its original shape, it does actually hold the shovel pretty well out of the box. Unfortunately, I have managed to stretch mine out a bit, so it's now a loose, so I'm just gonna have to heat it up and bring it back, because I had that torch in the hand. I'm pretty sure the torch is probably better to put into the trigger finger hands, but that was the way I had it. So for articulation, he has the standard articulation of all the figures. So I'm going to take his shotgun out of his hand. So head is on a ball joint. Gets him good up, side to side. You got 360 on the head. The arms can go out that much. Rotate all the way around. You have a bicep swivel. You have that elbow joint where it has a specific groove, so it sits 90 degrees, but then less than 90 degrees if you go with certain angles. Then you have that wrist articulation, and depending on which hand you have in and out, or up and down, so it depends on which wrist or which hand you have in. He does have a a waist swivel. He does have a kind of diaphragm joint. It's not the best, but it is there. His web gear kind of does hinder it a small bit. He does have forward kick on the legs. He can split that much, not too much. This pistol holster does tend to get in the way a small bit as well. He does have a thigh swivel, but again, it will only go to a certain degree before it hits off this section here. So you do get some rotation on it, but not a huge amount. You get single jointed knees. You get that boot cut. You get the rocker ankles and the peg holes on the bottom of the feet. So all in all, he is quite a good figure. So I'm just going to get him in a more kind of stoic stance, so I can bring in the tape measure. Just so you can see his height, he should be around 7 inches, just like everyone else. So you can see he is just around the 7 inch, maybe a hair bigger with the beret on, but he is pretty cool all around. Again, we'll bring in his G.I. Joe counter, or G.I. Joe comrades. We'll have Duke, and bring in Lady J again. Oop. So at the time of this recording, they have Wave 3 has arrived in places like Big Bad Toy Store. So the Wave 3 consists of, again, two hero characters and 2 baddies, and I'm looking forward to Wave 3. I'm hoping I can pick it up at some point, but right now I can't. But Wave 3 consists of Scarlet, which I'm looking forward to see how she compares to Lady J, because she's the second, well, she's the third, but second of the good guy female figures. So the only kind of the trifecta we're missing for the female characters for the original kind of lineup is Lady J, Scarlet, and CoverGirl. So I'm not sure if CoverGirl, Super 7 could surprise us and do a CoverGirl with the tank that she's iconically known for, which would be insane because it would be massive. But they have done the turtle van for the Turtles, so there is a possibility if the line does well enough. So if you're supporting this line, we might potentially see some vehicles, which would be nice. But all in all, the kind of trifecta of the G.I. Joe females were Scarlet, Lady J, and CoverGirl. And then the other characters that are coming in Wave 3 are Zartan for the Dreadnoks, which is interesting. That's the other faction. I wonder if they'll change the box design for the Dreadnoks. Will they give them the specific Dreadnought logo instead of the Cobra logo? And will it be different? Instead of the Cobra blue, will it be maybe a black with grey or something else color pattern? So I'll be interested to see if they change the color pattern for that box. The other bad guy character in the Wave 3 is the basic Cobra Trooper, which is something I'm looking forward to. The interesting thing about it is it has 2 different options for skin tones. So you have a Caucasian style Cobra Trooper head, and then you have another nationality Cobra Trooper head with hands. So you have different sets of hands, and I think it would have been easier if they had just done gloved hands, but I think they went the route and actually gave them skin tone hands. But personally, I think they could have gotten away with it by just having just plain black glove hands. They could have a couple of different extra head sculpts then, but maybe down the line I might do something along those lines. And then the other G.I. Joe character, I know I'm waffling here, but the other G.I. Joe character is is Doc, which is a character that you don't see too much of. He's gotten a few figures over the years and modern figures, but he's generally one that's not as well, I wouldn't say well received, but you don't see him too often in some of the more modern storylines and stuff like that. He's kind of a more, he again was another kind of iconic character for me, because Doc was one of the first figures I had as well. He's one of the older figures as well, because the original figure from him didn't have the ball joint socket head. It was the older swivel style. So he is one of the kind of more early figures. So that said, Flint here is a great addition to this lineup. So I'm just going to bring in the Red Jackal because I have him handy. The Bat and Cobra Commander are off at the moment. So just to give you a scale comparison to how he stacks next to some of the Cobras, excuse me, some of the actual Cobra figures. So he is, I know Destro is kind of a tall figure, but overall I think it is a really cool line. So far this line has impressed me enough that I want to continue getting it. I know some people have been, as I said before, people were complaining about the skin tone plastic. I don't think that's a big issue. I think it's actually more of an improvement than on the skin painted plastic, because you have more chance of paint rub with skin painted plastic than skin tone plastic. So maybe it's just me. But all in all, I hope you enjoyed this review. I'm going to wrap it up here. And as always, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I hope you enjoy your day. Thanks for watching.